This is the review of the regulation of the endocrine system exploration. So the first model, and if you want to pause this video and check your answers with mine, please do. So what type of cells secrete releasing hormones? Those are the neurons. These are located in the hypothalamus in the brain. Based on the model, what circulatory structure do the hypothalamic releasing hormones use to get to the anterior pituitary? That is the blood vessels of the hypophyseal portal system, or HPS for short. What kind of cells secrete anterior pituitary hormones? Those are the epithelial cells. So all of those answers came from this model. So if you've got a different answer than me, go back and look at this model again. Number 6, where are the cells that secrete anterior pituitary hormones located? Between the blood vessels and the anterior pituitary. What type of cells secrete posterior pituitary hormones? Those are the neurons. Are these cells actually located in the posterior pituitary gland? Nope, they're actually located in the hypothalamus. And then does the posterior pituitary appear to produce any of its own hormones? No. So there's an argument whether or not the posterior pituitary is actually an endocrine gland because it does not produce its own hormones. How do the hormones get from the hypothalamus to the posterior pituitary to be released? It's along the axon of the neuron. All right, model 2, which was this guy. Here are my responses. Which hormone is being secreted by the hypothalamus? It's GnRH, the gonadotropin releasing hormone. The target tissue is the anterior pituitary gland. How does the hypothalamic hormone cause the anterior pituitary, or what does it cause the anterior pituitary to do? It causes it to release, there's a 0 in here, cause it to release the interstitial cell stimulation hormone, or ICSH for short. This is the target tissue for the for the testes. And then what does this hormone cause the testes to do? Release testosterone. And then what are the two functions of the testosterone? Control male sexual functions and inhibits the hypothalamus. So again, if any of your responses differ from mine, go back and review this model. If you disagree, let me know. So here's the hypothalamus, here's the anterior, here's the posterior pituitary. So there's the GnRH hormone being released by the hypothalamus, triggers the anterior pituitary to release the interstitial cell stimulating hormone, which goes to the testes, causing it to release testosterone, which then controls male sexual functions, but it also inhibits the hypothalamus. All right, so some application questions, a little bit trickier. If increasing the amounts of testosterone in the blood will inhibit the release of GnRH from the hypothalamus, what will promote the release of GnRH? So decreased levels of testosterone. Right, and then in the process outlined here is an example of a negative feedback loop. So it says as a group, so that should say individually, come up with a definition in your own words of what a negative feedback loop is. So this is something that we should know by now, hopefully. So the stimulus stops the, the response stops the stimulus, so it's like a teeter-totter. So if the stimulus is increasing when it shouldn't be, the stimulus decreases, or if the stimulus decreases when it shouldn't be, then the responses, it will bring it back to where it should be. So these two hormones are both examples of tropic hormones. Based on the model, what do these two hormones have in common? So their target is another endocrine gland, and that's the definition of a tropic hormone. Tropic hormones are hormones in which their target, so the tissue to which they go to, is another endocrine gland. Those are tropic hormones. All right, and then the last model showing the anterior pituitary hormones with all of their targets here. Using the model, list the 6 anterior pituitary hormones in the space below. So I just abbreviated those. In women, FSH, scroll up, which is right here, the follicle stimulating hormone, causes the ovaries to produce estrogen, which is a very important hormone. And LH, which is right here, the luteinizing hormone, causes the ovaries to produce progesterone. In men, FSH, they still have this hormone, causes sperm cells to mature, and LH stimulates the testes to produce testosterone. So what is LH in men? So LH is actually referred to in men. It's not called luteinizing hormone because luteinizing hormone is only used in the ovaries to release follicles. It's called the ICSH. So refer to the page above. So this model right here, it is referred to as this hormone, interstitial cell stimulating hormone in males. Based on the names in the target tissues of the 6 hormones, which ones are tropic? So that is TSH, LH, FSH, and ACTH. Then explain why the anterior pituitary is often called the master gland of the endocrine system. This is because it controls several other glands. So it produces hormones, which are tropic hormones, which then their target tissues are other glands. So if you kind of go back, this gland controls many other glands, including the testes, the ovaries, the thyroid gland, and the adrenal gland. All right, and that is it for this activity. If you still have questions after watching this video, please let me know.